Oh,
We're live. All right, hey everybody. Zach Martin, Kids Observe Dads, here with Alicia Bullock. I'm going to be spending the night tonight with Chris Rainbolt, and he is actually
there he
here.
is.
Check us out.
Yay.
Hey, Chris, how are you today?
Can you?
I heard something.
Say it again one more time.
Yeah.
How about now? Say something, Chris.
And
We can hear you.
does
Yeah,
I
we can
have
hear
to
you.
wear head might cause an
You might put headphones on.
There's Zach talking. I see.
We got time. Just take your time. Where's my thingy?
Yeah, so I muted your mic while you get it figured out for your headphones. But we're here tonight with Chris. You know, last week we did a call and we were spending the time with Cash Jackson and had a really good talk about his experience about being a veteran and then fighting to be with his kids. And it was Veterans Day on Friday. I went and celebrated with some veterans and bought a couple beers. You got working? Should be on.
Yeah.
Dope.
We got
Welcome.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here with you guys. It's been a long time since I've done it live.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've done a couple now, and I mean, we attempted a live a few weeks ago, before your baby was born.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
How's that, huh? Turn right around and bam.
Damn, all of a sudden there's a kid. How old is it now? 3 years? 3 weeks? He's 3 weeks old?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so
October 30th. October 30th he was born.
Okay.
And here we are. So yeah, we're about 2 weeks shy of being a month old.
Yeah.
Aw.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Man. How is it?
I'm stoked, man. I'm telling you what, it's a life-changing experience to go from going what you went through like the family custody and stuff like that, to bringing in this new life part of you thing. Like, it's so reinvigorating and like
It's a
awesome
victory.
feeling.
Good.
It's a
Congrats.
victory.
That's so awesome. I think the pictures I saw of you and your baby. What's your baby's name?
Asher Cruz Rainbolt.
Asher Cruz Rainbow.
Ooh,
Dope.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at picking names, but I suck at everything else.
Well, hopefully you picked a better wife this time. It seems like things are much better for you and things are going the way you want them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is one thing that I've done, and I cannot figure out this stand. But
No, you
we'll
can't.
we'll get there.
Me neither.
Yours is working.
But I'm trying my stand on the phone
Let's just leave it at that.
so I
How's that?
can check
There we go.
the KDD page.
Oh, nice.
Don't
Yeah.
mind.
I think it's on the side of the ticker on the right-hand side, but my screen's so freaking huge that I can't see over there. So that's a personal problem.
Oh, what a problem to have.
Oh, gosh, I hate that. It's just too big.
Yeah, that's a tough problem for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about that. I think that's a common thing. Just I need a smaller screen. If I only was gifted a smaller one. So, but anyways, so Chris, tell us about at least you guys met in DC. How long have you been working on family court issues? How long have you been going through family court?
Want to hear from hers? Her or me?
You, Chris.
Okay, so I've been doing this for about I say 8 years, 2015. So yeah, about 9 years.
And tell us about your life before you went through family court. What were you doing? What was going on?
Man, it was awesome, you know. Let's see, my son was about, I think, 2 months old when started seeing some things change, and was in the service for 7 years, did two deployments overseas, 2 combat tours, came home, was talked out of staying in the service and having this family, and I was like, that sounds good to me. And had a great job, government work, and ended up let's see, it was about 2 years after I got out of the service that everything just went south for me. And I think it's kind of that way for a lot of veterans that come home and
Right.
deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it? So it was kind of something you saw pretty soon after your son was born and stuff then, and came out right away. How long was the process of your family court experience, like the first time before you got officially divorced?
Right.
Oh, wow, man. I've never seen so much chaos in my life, I've been in combat in Afghanistan and thought, you know what, there's nothing worse than um, having to go through this process because you got to go speak to a lawyer. And, I'll tell you the first thing I did when I went and spoke to a lawyer, I was like, whatever it costs, I want 50-50, whatever it costs. Terrible choice of words to use to these attorneys because they're like, oh, okay, cool. Money's not a factor
Oh,
to you in
you're
this
made of money?
situation. Right.
He's
Yeah.
made of money. Keep him here.
Right. Absolutely. So they were just all over it, and I spent, I want to say it was about 3 years straight, just constantly going in and out of a courtroom just for them to tell me, well, not this time, maybe next time.
Right. Were you
So-
able initially, sorry, just after you guys initially split up, was it semi-normal as far as your contact? And
No,
the time that
it
you got
was
to
far
spend together?
from normal.
It was just severed right away?
Oh, it was immediate. It was,
Right.
I mean, I think it was, what was I doing? I was coming home from work and was like, well, the locks have been changed, this, that, and the other. Here's a protective order, like all this stuff. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do with all this?
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? Okay, so here we go.
Yeah. So you got that
Everybody
protection
has
order.
Those are
Tell me
it's just
what happened after you got that.
similarities in the stories. Sorry, Zach.
Go for it, Alicia.
It was just
How did it feel?
similarities like that exist in everybody's stories because it's I guess it's either really decent at the beginning or it's
Yeah.
an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare.
Well,
Yeah.
with a lot of veterans, I find that it's very similar. There's not an easy exit
Right.
per se. It's that hard, straightforward, just cut out,
Yeah, like Ricardo just said, silver bullet. It's silver bullet tactics
Mhm.
usually.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man. I think it happens all the time. You hear that story over and over again. Everybody calls me on the phone and talks about that. They start off with that not getting to see their kids. How long did it go before you saw your son after you got the TRO?
So it took me, I want to say 60 days to establish at least 14 hours a week of custody.
Okay.
That's what I was given.
And he was how old then? A year?
No, he was 2.
Or 2? Okay. Okay. So no overnights, just a couple hours, a couple times a week?
Yeah, for overnights we're out the door. I mean, based up on the PO,
Yeah. Yep. And what was the accusation?
Because I was a combat vet and that I had guns and they were in fear for their lives. Just easy peasy,
Yeah. Real
If
cut
you're
and
a
dry.
veteran and you own weapons or anything like that, you're just SOL.
Right.
Yeah, they want to go after you. Did she mention stuff about you being a veteran then? She talked about you going to like Desert Storm, and how did that, or not Desert Storm, excuse me, but going
So
to
yeah, so like the first hearing or the first trial that we had, because we were supposed to have like 3 or 4 more after that. The very first thing was a PTSD document that she had taken from one of my medical files that I had at the house. So in regards to veterans with PTSD, it was, they were like, oh man, this is serious. And it was like, no, it's not, because if the VA says it's serious, they will let people know.
Right. Oh no.
Such as, no, this isn't.
I thought that the government was getting in there and blocking your feed for a second.
Well, yeah, I know, right? Well, it's funny.
We just
No,
about
it's funny
lost him.
because, life's changing for me, and I just started this new job at the VA and stuff too. So it's like I've got government stuff going on every which way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a job at the VA now?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm like all the time looking out for vets, and it's funny we're talking about making changes in the veteran community and stuff, and I just submitted a legislative change for VA education. One of the things that they did was they give veterans the benefit of giving their education benefits to their children. But in order to do that, you have to re-up or re-enlist for an extra 4 years to give them to your kids. But you have to elect that. And I'm like, well, there's guys that have done 20 years that didn't even know that was available.
Right.
So why can't we change it to where if they re-enlisted one time, it doesn't matter if they elected for it. That should be an option permanently.
Right out the gate. Yeah.
So I've sent that up, and it's already sitting at the Senate Senate Military and Veterans Committee at the nation's capital. So that's something I'm looking forward to seeing if it goes through or not.
That's amazing.
It's a huge change, right? It's like you have all this opportunity to re-enlist. You may not even have kids in, right? And how do you know that that's actually
Absolutely.
that you got to fill out? Oh, you missed
My
that
point
one box.
exactly.
Sorry, one box was missed. That one.
Yeah, my point exactly.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I gave 7 years of my life for everyone around me, and the one opportunity. Like I may not go to college. That's fine, because you can use that same benefit for yourself to go to college, or you can give it away. And there's a lot of guys that don't go to college.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a benefit that just gets lost. It's like, why can't we just give it to their kids? If they're 100% permanent and total, give it to them.
Right.
Make that an option.
Yeah. Yeah. And have it be an option all the time. Well,
So yeah, I didn't mean to jump off track, but
No, you're good. That's what I'm here for.
there's a ton of stuff that I've been trying to work on, with this government job, and I'm not using it as a position to make changes. It's just something that I want to do. I want to be able to help veterans on the side and, come out of retirement just to get a government job to help. So,
yeah.
And
Well,
if you were using it to their benefit, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do really good now, but.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. How was it? So like we had a discussion a few weeks ago with Ryan Powell about, being a non-custodial parent and people that are involved in being in their kids' lives. And his big thing was about, not giving up, not quitting, and always keep fighting and stuff. And how was it for you when you stopped like pressing through court? That decision for yourself.
So yeah, I mean, you become broke. Like I didn't have anything to refinance. I didn't have anything to place, liens against or anything like that to take money. So at that point, I wasn't working, and I'm this disabled vet, and that's all I've got. And I wasn't 100% permanent and total at the time, so I'm making almost barely, above the national poverty level.
Right.
And trying to survive all at the same time and going through court. And, when you don't have anything, it's hard to say, you know what, well, I'll give everything I've got and, pawn it, steal it, all this stuff. But then again, you've got a family in front of you that you got to be thinking about. So it was just one of those things that I spent over a year in therapy, trying to get over this ambiguous loss. For someone that you love and care about so much, but they're not gone. They're just not in your life anymore. And let me tell you, I fought some demons on that. And, when it first started, I could see myself going downhill and started going out, started drinking heavily, just trying to find a way around that pain that we go through, And it was one of those things where some of my friends were like, man, are you good? Like you need some help with something? And I was like, yeah, I do actually. And one thing led to another and, ended up in, it's so weird because when I met my fiance now, like my life was in shambles. And then out of nowhere, here she comes, and I'm like, nothing's going right, And then course, stuff started changing when I met her. I was in therapy after I met her. Like, all these opportunities came up, and laws were getting changed, and I was like, man, if you hadn't been in my life, I don't know where I'd be. It was just like
Oh,
everything got better.
good.
But yeah, I mean, like Ryan said, and I love him to death. He's got to be my number one go-to guy since the very beginning of all this, because the fathers' rights movement, I was there back in 2015, and I was just punching and saying, hey, who wants to do something? I didn't know where to start,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew there was 3 branches of government, so I was like, I can start there. And Ryan was like, man, let's do something. Like, what are we gonna do? And we found Mark Ludwig, and it was like, yeah, we want to be like that guy. How do we do that? And one thing led to another, and 2018 we passed our first bill and
What was
became
that?
law. And
Yeah. What one was that?
so it originally started as a 50-50 shared parenting bill, and then it became a um, child support issue because of COVID. COVID was coming in hot and heavy, and they were like, well, how about we do this? How about we no longer take away licenses for unpaid child support, because we got to get going from point A to point B, because the workforce is just going downhill because of all this stuff. And then they added in the occupational licenses, and that became a thing. And at the time it was Linda Steele that really got me going on all this. Because I can't talk to a Democrat. I say I can't, but I probably could, but
You
like
probably shouldn't.
right, legislatively, I just can't, because if I go in there and I try to reason with them, I mean, it happened. Horn, the representative we had here in Oklahoma that was representing us in Congress, Linda went in there and was like, we need more time for dads. And she was like, well, what makes you think dads want more time?
Hmm.
You see what I mean? Yeah, Alyssa, you got the eye rolling going on. I would have did the same thing and just turned around and walked out. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. But Linda
Right.
was my rock, Yeah, she's phenomenal. She ran for government office and all this. But yeah, it's nice to have all this support and things to help you get through this, because I don't feel like I gave up, because I'm still working on other things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to change the problem.
Right.
However, it's like they say in the military, you may have lost the battle, but you're still fighting a war,
Exactly.
right? That's
Yep.
just one battle.
Yep.
There's no telling what's coming around the corner with this war, but I got to change some things before I can go back.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be changed and stuff, a lot to work on. And how many times did you take her for contempt?
Oh man. It's funny you bring that up, because I think every time I filed for an enforcement, I was denied because she would file a PO. And it's so easy for people here in Oklahoma to get a PO on somebody. Like, it's just word of mouth, hearsay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They have to take it as, real. A real situation, and then you never get to prove yourself in court, and then when
Right.
you do finally get that chance, they're like, well, we'll give you something, and that's what happened to me. We'll give you something. So how about, we give you, I think the most time I had with my son was 48 hours a month, and that was 6 hours every week. Well, that's not even 48, that was 12, 24.
Right.
That was 24 hours a month. That's the most time I had. So it had ended up declining down from there. And then, I filed the next enforcement, and they were just basically like, well, we'll give you something. So here's this, we'll let you see your son, but you're going to have to go through a
Supervisor.
reunification therapy facility. And let me tell you what, you want to know what set me off is when you go in there, it gives you patient name to write your own name down. And that set me through the roof, because I'm not a patient, I'm a father. When you look at the reason why people go there, it's
Mm-hmm.
because of abuse, drugs, all these different things. just any type of violence, and I didn't check any of those boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had to pay for it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And how much was that? Was it expensive?
Oh man, it was crazy. It was like $160. I only got an hour, but they also charged me to use the toys, the TV, if we wanted to go outside and play, they charged me for that extra time. And it was like, what in God's name is happening here?
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The vacation place, the facility in like Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's in Tulsa. I mean, I mean, who do I care? It's Rebound Mental Health.
Right. Yeah. What do you care? Yeah. Rebound mental health. They sound awful.
Well, you know what's funny too is, when we went back, so the first time they called it, what was it? Visitation therapy is what they called it. The second time I went back, it was court ordered for reunification therapy. And I was like, well, what's the difference? Nothing's changed. And instead of me getting to see my son physically, they went to virtual. So it cost me even more.
So how much were you spending to not see your son and go through this circus?
I think it was like $450 a month
for 12 hours on a phone.
Yeah, minus the child support.
Right.
It's a joke.
Right. We don't even count that. That's just a given right there, and it's way too much. So you're over 50% of your income each month being spent child support and reunification visitation time every month.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nuts, but I've gotten to the point in my life where I lost that battle, but guess what? There's a war coming, and I can't bring that war just yet, but once I get the system changed, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think you're bringing it every day, right? I mean, you got a new relationship, you're healthy, you're happy.
Yeah.
You got a new baby, you're pouring that love in and getting fed every day.
And I'm telling you, it is life-changing. I just completed my therapy too, so it's like I'm just super stoked. I mean, I could cry about it, seeing where I was at a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a year ago, constantly going through court. I mean, I've probably been in court like 84 times in 8 years. Or no, sorry. Yeah, about 8 years. Not to mention, my time. There was a time where I went 2 years straight without any contact with my son, virtual, anything like that, and then it ended up going to virtual, and it's a total of 5 years. 5 years I've gone now without any type of physical contact with my son. So, I mean, to all these veterans out there that think that they can't do it, let me just go ahead and stop you and say you can. Right. Even if you got to reach out to me. I mean, anyone in the country will tell you I'm the #1 expert with veterans issues in family court.
No doubt.
I mean, people here in Oklahoma have called the Capitol, saying, what can we do for veterans in family court? And guess whose number they give out?
Yours.
Mine.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing everywhere you go. I mean, I got guys out here that I talk to in South Dakota. I'm from Cheyenne, both big Air Force towns and stuff. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere, in that silver bullet of a TRO that need to have preponderance of the evidence. It's like just an accusation is enough that a court's like, they don't want to have anything bad be on their hands. And so they basically sacrifice the kid's relationship with the parent who's being accused, and then they never give it back.
Right. Yeah. Never get back. Like you could prove yourself free of all charges or allegations or anything, and they still won't give it back to you because now it's the problem of taking a kid that you barely know and putting in your home.
Right.
That's the issue that they had with me. It was like, well, you didn't do anything wrong, but we can't just put your child back in your home. And it's like, well, how do I combat that? I'm not sure, but you can bet I'll find a way to fix it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and let me tell you something, we talked about, the drive that these veterans are facing, and I see Cash Jackson and, you know, all these other guys every day. And, you know, just with Cash, I feel bad for the guy, you know, having to be stuck in a place he doesn't like to be, you know, being put behind bars for whatever it may be, just because he's speaking up, speaking out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But God, there's probably not a person in this world that I wouldn't go to bat for, other than a guy that's willing to, you know, give everything he's got, his freedom, everything, just to try and make a change.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what happened. People don't like it when you talk. And when it's a veteran, the one thing they can do to shut you down is take away your money, take away your freedom, take away your children. And once they shut you down, you ain't got nothing left. And that's why our suicide rates are still staying the same.
Right. Still high.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Terrible.
because, yeah. And you add family court value, you know, half people that are married get divorced, right? I mean, so veterans getting out of the military and stuff, I mean, it's a huge population. I don't know the numbers, but a huge portion of that, it's got to be veteran men that are out of that divorce figure and stuff going through the family court. And this is the easiest way. And every lawyer knows this, right? And everybody that's ever done this to another person knows this also. And women talk. I mean, you know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Oh, he's getting disability. Like I'm getting paid, right? But let me tell you something. Let me tell them something. There's a thing out there called a VA apportionment and a VA apportionment form. And what happens is they take that form and they have to submit their expenses as well as you have to submit your expenses. And guess what? The VA makes a decision on whether or not they can have that money. The state can place a waiver or a garnishment against your disability pay, but it's illegal. Under Title 38, subsection 5301 of the United States Code of Justice, it's illegal because it specifically says any veteran's disability pay cannot be garnished, waived, levied, or frozen before or after the veteran receives that payment.
They're not supposed to touch it.
Zero, because it's a non-taxable income.
Right.
And Zach, I don't know how it works with you being an attorney and what you know, but I can tell
Yeah,
you
Zach.
Not quite an attorney yet. I was bar prep today, so.
Right. I can tell you right now, the easiest way for me to help veterans that are going through this, separate your account, guys and gals. Separate them. Put your disability pay in one and your work pay in the other. And when they freeze your account, take the Title 38 5301 USC straight to child support and give them that and say, if we can't get this lifted, then we will see you in federal court. I've done it 3 times in the state of Oklahoma because they froze my account. And I'm like, that's all I got. And guess what? It's been lifted every single time.
What's that form number?
It's not a form. It's under U.S. code.
What is it?
It's Title 38, subsection 5301. It should be Veterans Disability and Entitlement or something like that, or Soldiers and Sailors Relieved. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I've had to take a long break away from fighting and making changes, but here I am. Harder.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, I took a break, right? I went to law school, and I basically didn't do hardly anything when I was in law school. Man, I was emotionally destroyed by the whole experience. I was in my freshman year. I'm not freshman year. The L1 year of law school, and I had my trial for my son was this week, and finals were the week after Thanksgiving. And so I was in trial today, tomorrow, and Friday. No, today's Thursday. Anyways, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for trial, right? And that was all up right before Thanksgiving, and then the finals were right afterwards. And I was prepping for this whole entire thing, and it was just a circus. I mean, it was just a terrible experience. And the whole bar exam's over the first year of law school. And then we had coronavirus started, and I had 3, it was ruled unconstitutional in Wyoming after this happened, but my judge does this consistently and had before this all the time, that he came out with my ruling for my case in 3 different rulings. So to appeal that, I had to actually appeal all 3 different rulings to get all the things covered, right? The Supreme Court's now decided shortly after my case went through, and then I didn't appeal all 3 of them because I didn't have $90,000. I already spent $100, and I had to pay her lawyer fees and $65,000 for all of her fees.
Freaking ridiculous, isn't it?
3 months. They gave me 3 months, and he said he's gonna throw me in jail. He promised me.
3 months to come up with that money. Yeah, I was told the same thing too. And you know what? There was a judicial review done on my judge, and I wrote in for my judicial complaint, and so did the DA and several other people. And guess what happened? He's no longer sitting on the bench. They forced him to retire.
Everybody needs to remember that at their local levels. That, I mean,
yeah,
that's
and
where
a lot of times people will say,
sometimes
well, they
get
don't
home.
get rid, they go straight to file 13. That might be true, but if you can get more support behind it, there'll be a ton of people, because there was a ton of people in my town that wanted this guy gone because he was just bad for justice in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was a pretty good movement and stuff for that around Wyoming and especially in Cheyenne. But I was in law school and it just destroyed me. Then coronavirus happened, and it was like I moved away. There was no law school in town, so I lived here in my house in Rapid City, and just stayed in my house basically for the whole entire time.
Yeah,
and so it really it put a huge damper on my activism in Wyoming, because it just I wasn't available or around for a whole entire year and a half, really. And it was my final year of law school, and law school was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was like the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Bar
prep, it was easy. Everyone would do it, right?
Yeah, bar prepping was worse. Bar prepping is the worst thing I've ever done. But law school was, I'm kind of smart. I'm not the smartest guy in the whole entire world, and it was amazing how difficult and how much I put into this to get here. And so, it took me 3 years to get my life back in order. To get myself emotionally.
And here's a question I have for you, Zach.
Yeah.
What drove you to that? Right. So was it this custody battle that drove you through it? Was it friends going through it? Was it people kept coming up to you and be like, man, you need to go be an attorney? Because I've had people do that to me, and I'm like, I don't have the time anymore. I've got way too much stuff going on. But you know what I mean? What was that?
So I started the nonprofit in November of 2017 and was doing a lot of events and things along those lines. We had a couple of bills we wrote, got a couple of really small bills passed the first year, really inconsequential, verbiage bills. And then I wrote, my son's mom they let her move to South Dakota, and she moved to Rapid City. And I was like, well, shit, I got to follow, right? Like, my son's up there. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to be with him. And so I bought a house up here and did all these things in Rapid City to get myself prepared. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this one last bill, and then I'm going to move up there and do it. And so I wrote that bill with the intention that, like, by that fall, my son will be starting maybe 3 or 2.5, Then I move up here, and I wrote this bill, and Alicia came down to the Capitol. We worked on it together, and I wrote this bill on shared parenting, the gusto, right? We're making 50-50 on divorce separation, the standard, and it's going to happen. And so I had all these packets. I had spent time talking to every legislator. Everybody got challenge coins when I met with legislators. I gave them a challenge coin for kids or dads. Like, I was really after it. And
then everybody left Zach alone, and he lost. We all lost.
Well, so the next day, we had a committee meeting, the first committee meeting, and we did great, right? The lawyers were there, the DV group was there. We had there's the DV group and a bunch of lawyers basically against us, the parents. And Alicia was up there, and my mom was there, and we filled the room. It was
at least 20, I'd say 20 or 30, 20, at least 20.
20 of us, and like probably 11 or 12 of the lawyers in there, snaking on it. And we just came back at them. I mean, we had people for every answer, and I was kind of like running the show, telling who to go next and where to go and stuff. And we just had an answer for everything that they came with. And we beat them on the floor. And so at the end, we're out there getting some photos, and we're pretty happy with ourselves. And
terrible internet for Zach.
He's cutting out, but the bill.
There he is.
Anyways, they came up and got me. So am I back?
Yeah, you're back, man. You're good. We can hear you.
So yeah, so the next day, there was like 7, 8 lawyers there consistently the whole entire morning. And our building didn't come up until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was lawyer after lawyer, and they're coming through the doors, and everybody else calling out, they were calling out, and they were calling out, they just called everybody. And they basically just were bad mouthing this bill, bad mouthing shared parenting, and saying that I'm just the angry dad who doesn't know what I'm talking about. And so I sat there and I battled, and I was going at it for probably like 3 hours. Like it was like 7 o'clock in the morning until 9, 10. And then I just sat down and I just sat there and watched them. And I was like, I don't have an answer. Like I'm not going to beat them today. And I know what's happening right now. And we got routed on the floor. And I said, you know what? They're giving these lawyers so much damn credit. I'm going to go be a lawyer. And so the next day I went to the law school, and and I walked into law school, and Lisa, she's a super nice lady. She's sitting there at the desk and stuff. She's like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I want to go to law school. She's like, okay, when? And I was like, next semester. She's like, and she starts laughing. She goes, we already have like 2/3 of our students picked out for next year. And I was like, okay, but can I get in? And she's like, well, I guess so. Like there's a chance, right? There's still a test. Have you done any studying or anything? And I was like, no. She's like, do you know where to go? And I was like, no. So she like walked me through the whole process. And I like had a day to get it all turned in. I turned it all in the next day. I had like 3 weeks to study for this test. And I did a little bit of studying, but I was selling real estate, and so I didn't have a lot of free time. So I did a little bit of studying and just left it to the gods. And boom, I got a 152. I needed a 151 to get in. And so they called me up and they said, hey, Zach, you're in. And I was like, oh, man, that's awesome news. Thanks, Lisa. How long do I have to decide? I want to know how long I get to think about it. She goes, when I hang up the phone, you're either in or you're out. And I was like, well, then I'm in. And she's like, you have to get rid of your business, and you have to, move here to Laramie. You can't be working in real estate and running your company. And I said, okay. So I sold my company and moved there. And when I pass the bar and I get to be a lawyer, it's going to make it all worth it. But it's definitely been.
I congratulate you for all that hard work and effort, because I wanted to ask that, because I wanted everyone else to see the true grit behind a situation that it takes to get you to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to start doing something, because they will try to silence you. They will try to shut you down. They will do anything they can to just make you stay in your corner.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done it to everybody. They've done it to me. They've done it to Ryan. I'm sure they've done it. Well, they've done it to you. I mean, anyone that you can think of that's out there that, has gone through this, they've shut them down and said, you know what, be quiet.
Oh.
The adults are talking. It's time for you to listen. And it's like, I've been listening for far too long, I mean, it came down to that, my ex's attorney told me before we decided to go to trial was, he was like, what can we do to solve this? And I said 50-50 across the board. And he goes, that's not going to happen. And he says, you're going to sign your rights over. And I said, you don't effing know me too well, do you? Yeah. And that was basically, I was ready to throw him down the dang courthouse steps up on from the 3rd floor.
Right.
Because it was like,
deserved.
You don't know where I've been, what I've done, and what I've seen. I've lost 14 service members in my battalion alone in 2011. I know what it's like to really lose, and this guy didn't have a freaking clue.
Never lost anything, right?
Yeah, they don't understand, And in the end, I didn't sign my rights over. I just, like I said, I lost that battle. I'm taking a pause until I can find a way to fix all of it, and not waste more money, more time, more depression, more setbacks, more, lost time of family, all these different things. And it's like, you know what? Kids grow up and they become teenagers. And when they become teenagers, they start to rebel, and then they'll start doing something. They'll want to figure out, what's going on, what's happening. Why hasn't dad been here? Why hasn't mom been here? They'll get it figured out, and then they'll reach out. And then guess what? After he reaches out, that breaks the contract. So.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. And I think he's going to see all the things you're doing, right? Like all the things you've done for him to be involved, and being healthy makes such a big difference, man. Like being filled up on the inside and having that connection. you know, to have that energy go out there and keep doing those fights and keep going to battle, keep going to the courthouse and the legislature and dealing with these people who are against you. Like you said, that lady that was just completely rude, right? She was trying to get a rise out of you is what she was trying to do.
Right.
Because she wanted you to prove her point that you're just some angry dad.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the hard part is to get past those people and get to prove yourself. Otherwise, you can't be angry and hurt and sad. You can't go in there with that negativity and stuff, because what's going to come out is not pretty, and then you're going to prove their point. And it's something that Mark talks about all the time is we need healthy dads, healthy moms that are going to fight for this change, and we have to pick ourselves up. You know, you can't just go out there and keep slinging mud on top of mud.
Right.
You know, we got to come out there with our hearts.
Mental health is huge, you know, and I see it every day, and I get calls from people all across the country every day, you know, like they're ticked off at the world. And it's like, well, first off, let's take a step back, man, because you having this mentality isn't going to get you any further. You know, let's reroute you. You know, not saying you can't be upset, you can't be angry, but there's a time and place for it.
Yeah.
Just when you're in this fight, that is not the time and not the place for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it before, but just like you were just saying that, you know, Mark says, trying to be an advocate and getting things changed, or speaking to a legislator, or testifying for a committee.
Yeah.
You have to, Mark will say our stories are important and they want to see the emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not healed or far enough through your healing process, doing something like that is going to be, it was extremely difficult for me. I could not hold it together. I was shaking like a leaf and trying to read a statement, but that's because I was completely in the thick of it. And, you know, just even being able to speak about your experience when you are going through all of that it's an emotional shit show for a lot of us. And so mental health, absolutely, that for any parent dealing with a situation like this or like that, you have to make that number one, and probably physical health number two. Because
it can be really hard to get through that emotion of, you know, all the why questions. Why don't I get to see my child? You know, why don't I get to defend myself? Why don't I get to be happy? Why don't I, you know, that's what I call the why questions.
What did I do wrong? Like, actually, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you start second guessing yourself and be like, well, maybe I did do something wrong.
Yep.
Well, you didn't.
Right.
You gotta reach out. You gotta step out of your bubble and realize that there's so much more going on out there. And that's, you know, one thing about social media. That's where it all started for me. Was seeing if there was something out there. And I'm glad it was there when it was, because then it was like, okay, there's something there. Let's go to the president. Let's get something done about this, you know. And, you know, at the time when you're in that emotional mode, that's your game plan. Right. Well, I'm going to go yell at them and tell them my story and tell them how messed up this is and, you know, what they need to do to fix it. And it's not like, you know, there's a process to everything.
Yeah. But Cash said it too, you know, I think the best thing that could have happened to any of us, and the best thing that can happen to anybody going through it, is the power in the numbers and the support from a community. And don't be afraid to reach out or tell your story or ask questions or anything like that, because there's nobody around any of us that we're all going to understand.
Right, yeah. And maybe not all of our stories are aligned in the same, but we know the pain behind it all. You know what I mean? Like, we understand it, we get it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, well, and then the power of social media, right? There's so many of us out there. Like, I mean, we're on a StreamYard Zoom thingy or whatever on Facebook and two Facebook pages.
Yeah, look where you were at 5 years ago and what you were doing, and look at the same people that are doing something about it now. Look where they were at 5 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they found that there was a community, and now all of a sudden they're leading organizations and, becoming attorneys and making changes. It's crazy to me to see all the people that I've been aligned with
Working
to
at the
really
VA, writing all these bills.
well, basically to start from nothing and become this
Yeah.
powerhouse of information.
He was just filling us up right there.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's amazing how, it can bring out the worst in you. And I've had some moments where I've been my worst. And also it's got me so motivated to like do something different that I'm like, how do I give my son like the best thing I could possibly give? If I could get this changed in the states that we live in or across the whole entire country, along with all my friends, like I don't even do it for myself. I don't give a shit. But if it gets done, then
He's not going to have to go through
he ain't gonna have to do this. He'll never have that pain that we had, right? And that
That
suffering. And
has to be your goal, because that's my goal too, right?
high five. So
Bam. That has to be it.
that's it, man. And my son's 6 years old. So I got like 12-ish years of time, I hope, for sure. That could be like 7 or some crazy nonsense. But I'll be a lawyer, so I'm pretty sure if it comes up in 7 years, people are gonna back up. But my son will be okay. But everybody else might not be if they get in the way. But no threats, promises. But I think that having that that motivation and seeing that longer vision, right? Like it's not about me in the moment. And so today all I can do is just go to the gym and like try not to eat a bunch of candy and drink a bunch of beer. Then I did really good, and if tomorrow's the day that I can put some work into doing some deeper dives, making some phone calls, doing something bigger, drink that beer, girl, get it.
I'm telling you, we doing an ad now.
That doing that stuff.
Oh wait, I thought you took the ticker off.
I have taken it off a couple times. I
probably just get rid of it.
This is so cool that I can move that around and do things. I've been like playing with this stuff, so way better than what I was doing the last couple times. So thanks Kenneth Rosa for busting my balls and telling me I need to get on StreamYard. So
love that guy, man. That's what I'm talking about. All these people that are just legends in their communities. Yeah. I love seeing more and more people pop out of the woodwork, the more years that this goes on. But I also would like to see it dissipate and see us become, just
retired.
Well, ashes in the wind, and it not be a thing. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have it be gone. States can find another way to balance their budgets. I don't give a shit. But it's not gonna be on our kids' backs.
Well, I could tell you, Oklahoma DHS. You go to their website and pull up their annual reports for what they spend money on, and they'll have 5 or 6 programs in the red, negative. Just can't afford to keep it going, but yet, here we go with the child support collection and the,
they're doing great.
You can find other ways to make money. You know what I mean? Make money makes sense. As a good friend from Maryland once told me.
Right. We just got to squeeze a little bit more out of them. Is there any more out there that they have? Like, how can we? And Wyoming, they just passed the bill a couple years ago, and actually, Child Support Services is on our team about getting this changed. And passing the bar is more important than passing the law this year, even though I really want to work on it. But that they passed a bill that made it so when a mom got on Medicaid after getting pregnant, right, when they're not together, the dad doesn't even know that he has a kid. And once that kid's born in the hospital, the dad automatically has a $3,500 child support bill on his tab. Yeah. And once they name you the dad, boom, you have that bill on top of your child support you got to pay. That's already automatically there. And it's in the state statute, and they wrote it in, and it just has to go. And it's like you're punishing these guys. And guys can have no idea they even have a kid. It could be a couple years down the road, and then you're getting hit with this.
How do they know it's their kid in the first place?
Don't take credit for it. Get a paternity test.
Where's the paternity at on that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem is they can go here in Oklahoma. The mother can go on there and list 5 or 6 guys as the father, and if they can't get a hold of the first 2, and you might be the third, what? We got a hold of one. We'll make them accountable financially.
Yeah. They're gonna go after somebody, and they're gonna get it. and they want to keep searching because there's so much money coming in that they're going to do it. And all they need is somebody, and especially what they want is somebody who's going to just say yes and just accept the kid without even doing a paternity test because they don't care. Like they just want somebody to say yes and be on the hook to pay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they care most about. And anybody that's going through this, if you have a kid, and it's out of wedlock, even if it's in wedlock, I don't care. If you're going through this custody stuff and it's early on, you should be having a paternity test. And if you have a kid born anyways, you should not be signing a birth certificate. I don't care if you're married or not, without a paternity test. Like every time
let me tell you something. Each state should have a paternity fraud clause in their statutes. Each state should have one. Oklahoma, I don't think we got ours until 2014 or 2015, something like that. And that was because of a veteran, two-time Purple Heart recipient, Josh West out of Oklahoma, got it established because people were just collecting money on these dads for no freaking reason. And they were like, well, here's paternity. I'm not even the father. Well, you may not be the father, but you're the first person we contacted. Right. So you're financially liable for, you may have seen the mom for 6 months, but guess what? That's time you spent with the child, so you're accountable.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's just so designed, And I had a problem at school the other day. I was eating lunch with my son, and and they do these weird things like they have to go to school until this amount of time every day because they need the money coming in, right? And so we're just gonna have these kids show up for a half a day, just over a half day, so we can get the credit as a full day, and we're just gonna let and no teacher, no one's taking it that serious, right? It's like the day before a holiday, and they're like halfway doing this stuff, and it's like we do all these things and we use our kids for such leverage, and then we wonder why we have such dysfunction in our society right now when all our kids are dollar bill signs to our government. It's just really, it's very disheartening to be in this place right now. And I guess the nice thing is that we have a lifetime of work to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, job security, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think getting this stuff changed, it's a lifetime achievement award. If we can do all these things that we're talking about today in our lifetime, I don't even know the impact on the world we're going to have. I mean, how much better a place would it be? It's going to be unrecognizable.
Just dads being able to be around would probably,
society is going to flip upside down.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh, it would be just so terrible, wouldn't it? Grief.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really amazing. It's beautiful to be in the spot right now, and with these great people, with the tools that we have, at our disposal to be able to be in this connection and with this unity around being an impact in this change. And then, there's some great people that are doing this stuff. I mean, I don't know anybody who's really out here fighting to make a change, whether I like them as a person or not, that isn't like committed and focused and like doing the best they possibly can at every moment. Like I see everybody out here who's doing work in this field, and I'm like, man, like they're giving a lot, and not a lot of people make a lot of money or any money doing this stuff.
You don't
Nobody makes any money.
Yeah. What's money? I don't have an organization behind me, and it's like, I'm taking my gas money, my daily time, and going and doing this stuff. And, but now there's more people coming out of the woodwork. And that's what I was going to say is if you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Wyoming, if you're in South Dakota, any of the 47 other states, and you want to do something, get a hold of somebody.
Yeah. We have
get
to
a hold of somebody and let them teach you, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to be doing this for 10 years. I want someone else to take the reins.
Yeah.
I want to live my life.
I'm doing it for 50 years. I figure I got another 50 years of this in me. So I'll be like 94 years old pounding the pavements. So
it's not going to take that long. That's the whole point.
Well, once we win, though, we have to defend it, right? We got to defend it. Like we conquer the territory and we get these bills changed, but the same enemies are going to come out there. And they're going to come out there trying to knock our bills down, trying to pass new bills.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. You got to have a defense there to protect that. Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're going to come and try to write a new bill and get that thing overturned or water it down. Yeah.
Water it down.
it's never going to end. You know, we need to make an army of people who is self-sustaining and that can be recycled, you know, with new people going through the experience who want to get involved.
And that's what I mean by not wanting to do this for the next 10 years is, you know, there's going to be someone bigger and better than us that may have the money to go in and do it, or to have the backing to go in and do it. You know, I've got a newborn and 3 other kids. I would like to enjoy watching them grow up instead of being tied to this, but here I am. I'm making the time for it, putting the effort out, and
Working your ass off.
Yeah.
You what?
Working your ass off, I said.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, while holding a job and playing family man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in your area, just being in helping veterans and doing veteran support and stuff. Like, I've met some people have done it in the past, and not that I don't think that they care, but they didn't know what they're doing. They weren't dedicated and committed to it, you know. And having someone like yourself who's out there who's so committed, and when you get your heart into something, that you go for it nonstop. That's really an impactful thing, and the difference you're going to make in that area, especially with your knowledge in this stuff. I mean, every dad you talk to as a veteran is probably a divorced dad who's alienated from their kids. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's a large portion of the guys that I talk to that are in that spot that don't get to see their kids, and it's just a travesty.
Absolutely.
You know?
I was going to say, as far as the go ahead.
What do you say?
Well, like you brought up the divorce, basically statistics earlier, and I'm not sure, but I would be willing to bet that among service member population, the percentage. What do you think it is, Chris? Do you think it's higher than 47%?
Oh, it's way more than 47%.
Right.
I mean, I think
higher than the national average for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. At the time that I was in, I wanted to say the number was more in the 60s.
Probably like 65.
Yeah, if I had to guess, and you can pull that up on. Oh,
we could find it. Somebody could find it for us.
I can find
Pop it up here.
I have a list of everything. I have suicide rates. I have military divorce rates. I have suicide within the active service members rates. I've got a lot of that stuff, and I didn't bring it with me to school today, as you can tell. But
that's fine.
I do have all.
So I'm just
give you a pass.
Yeah, but you know it, and to not drag this out any longer, if there was, you know, one way I can keep a vet alive, it would be to reach out to someone within our organizations. I don't care if it's Father's Rights, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, the one that Josh Staros is part of, Americans for Parental Equality. I mean, dads deserve kids, or I probably got that wrong. Yeah, anybody reach out to somebody and be like, look, I have a problem, and this is my problem, and I am depressed. It's fine to be depressed. Ain't none of us going to tell on you. We will help you find a way out of it.
Yep.
I guarantee it.
I've told people that there's nothing you can say that is worse than anything I've ever thought. So, but call me up and tell me about it. Like I'm open to the challenge. I'd like to be defeated. But that it's important that you speak to somebody, you know, that you let that stuff go, and then you start working on healing. Because holding all that the animosity, that anger, that revenge, resistance to the experience and stuff is destructive, and it will eat you up from the inside. And this system's designed just to chew you up and spit you out. Like you are a nothing in the whole entire thing, and we're going to take you no matter what. And I think that was the most humbling and emasculating experience I've ever had in my whole entire life. Like I have absolutely zero power in this of my whole entire life. I am commitment. I thought I was a free human to do as I pleased, and I've been told that I don't get to do anything that I want, and they're going to dictate my life and my son's life to me, and you take it, and you better put a smile on it, or I'll throw you in jail. So
yeah,
and you know, my judge was really clear about that. He was looking for a chance to throw me in jail. I was in law school. He was looking forward to throwing a law student in jail. That was what he was wanting to do.
Isn't it ironic how they brag about, you know, how they can defeat somebody like that and tell you, well, if you don't zip your mouth up, then, this will be the first time I, throw a disabled vet, behind bars, or combat disabled vet. And mind you, the judge was a vet, but when he spoke about his time on the stand during the trial about
Right.
his service, he
Yes.
was in the Navy in the 80s, and there wasn't nothing happening in the 80s before the Gulf War started, and it was like,
You got a paper cut, sir? No.
there's a jealousy type thing going on there when someone runs into someone who's experienced combat and, was injured in combat and things like that. They feel they have to one up you, and then that's not the case.
Yeah. My judge explained and stuff that in one of my classes and stuff, he explained that his thoughts about how this works is that he's got to pick a winner and a loser, and his job is to go out there and punish the loser, the parent he doesn't like, to the furthest extent of the law, and destroy them as much as possible. And he said this in one of our classes to a class of like 45 law students, and this is what this judge is teaching law students and going through family law. I mean, the amount of shit my family law professor, she just loved picking on me when I was like destroyed and attacking all my stances every time. When I get a speech, she was on me. Like she wanted to rip every speech and everything I ever talked about apart every single time. And she'd get it ahead of time, and then there'll be other students that are in her class that she taught oh gosh, I'm blanking on it. Internship that they would do family law stuff, and all those students that were in those classes with her would have my paper, and they'd be like already having like questions and like really like detailed, intricate questions, like they had read my paper and my speech before I gave it, to come in there and like attack me and attack my stances and stuff. It was a wild experience. And then when I went through my textbook, one of the craziest things in my textbook, because I wrote a whole speech on alienation, there is one paragraph in the textbook that's used like in every single law school for family law that says parental alienation is debunked and it's garbage science. And that's it. One paragraph saying there's bullshit, and we're gone.
And let me tell you something. Ruth Nichols is fixing to bust a can open on that ordeal.
I love Ruth Nichols. I haven't talked to her in a while. I need to actually have a new Facebook, so I need to add her to my new Facebook page. I'm glad
I'm telling you what, man. She is just a wealth of knowledge and information, and she's reached out to me several times and asked me about my case and trying to find ways to help me make it better in my situation. And she's just a phenomenal person, and she's a big supporter of our community.
She's an amazing lady, and I mean, we're just full of so many great people. I really just cherish, like, I have these opportunities to sit on like a call with you, and I was with Cash last week, and we got a lineup set up for this winter, that is pretty fantastic, and a bunch of really big professionals that are doing a lot of great things to make this change, because they want to get the word out there, and they want to be getting people involved, and however we can get as many people involved as we possibly can, the more the better. And everybody's got a place. If you want to be doing something here, I guarantee if you ask enough people and ask around and keep putting yourself out there, making yourself available, people will hit you up. Throwing it out there once may not be enough, but keep asking. How can I support you? What can I do to help you out? How can I make a meme for you? And those kind of things, like, everything helps.
It does. It's funny you bring up, this powerhouse group of people. It's amazing how many people are out there that know how to maneuver the system and how to, go about trying to make changes and, trying to get people to stand up and fight for, what's truly right. And, that makes me think about the two bills that I'm currently working on here in Oklahoma, and 5 years ago, I was nobody. And I was trying to work on one thing, and here I am working on 3 things, 2 state and 1 federal. And it's like, what have I gotten myself into? You know what I mean? But it's because of the people like you're talking about, all these amazing people. And, here in Oklahoma, I wished we had 50 people.
Right.
I wished we had 10 people, but it's normally me and one other person.
Yeah.
I have support from other people to call legislators and things like that, but I would love to have more people at the Capitol, helping me talk to legislators, and especially those that I can't talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Wyoming. I mean, what did we have, Zach? Maybe
20.
I personally, well, yeah, Zach probably had like 20.
I bring it to the house.
Come to the Capitol, but I'm talking about people that we can call upon. You know what I mean?
Like legislators or supporters.
Supporters, even
I think in Wyoming,
legislators could be a supporter or not.
I mean, yeah, I would say we have a couple legislators that are supporters and up for the cause. We have a couple senators in Wyoming. We got 6. We need
people.
6. Yeah, I mean, and it's a small group. I think it's something you and I work on with even like our group we have for making this next legislative push in 2025.
But everybody, just like Chris was saying, I mean, everybody.
See, that's something crazy too. You just said 2025. You didn't say anything about 2024. You guys are just like Texas. It's every other session.
No, it's every session. We're skipping it. I don't have the energy. I don't have the time. The bar.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because Texas, they do their family law stuff and like criminal court stuff every other session.
So next year will be
a budget. They can go every year and fight for a change in family law. They have to wait a year.
Wow. Well, depending on.
So you need a super majority in Wyoming to get through the floor to start off with. So you have to have a super majority to get through the floor when it's a budget year. So it's a lot more challenging to get a bill through on a budget year. And 2025
it basically is every other year.
And so every other year. So 2026 will be a non-budget year where we'll have more opportunities. And so and every legislator can only do, I think, 3 bills or something like that in a session. 3 non-budget bills in a budget session.
Yeah, see, here in Oklahoma, our representatives can only do 8. They can only author 8 bills, but senators, they have a unlimited.
Oh, wow.
But, it might be the same like you're talking about. I just don't pay attention to it because we've been so fortunate to really get something through every year that we try,
Yeah.
Good. It probably is the same because I'm sure budget is really on top of all of our legislators' minds,
That's all they think about. How are we going to get more money? Where can we get more money from?
Yeah.
we just need more. What can we get from our citizens now? And that's what they're after. It's really sad. And that, when you see them acting in those ways and making those laws and doing things that direction, and then all these draconian laws out here punishing kids for being kids and families for separating and using kids as pawns in the middle of it, you realize that the reasoning behind what they're doing and how and why this is the way that it is all about money. And then you look at all the problems that come from this, and all they're getting this for is for more money, and they're like destroying families and destroying kids' lives, and it's all for a few more dollars for the state, and it's just really gross.
Have you heard of the Annie Casey Foundation? Annie E. Casey Foundation?
No.
Both of y'all need to look that up. Matter of fact, any leader in this country needs to look at that up.
Yeah.
You're going to see what the impact of single parent homes can do to any district, any community, any city, any county. It shows you the exact impact it has on that county.
NEKC Foundation?
Yeah, ANNIE ECASEY. NEKC Foundation. Lynn Still brought that to my attention, and that was how we were able to pass the child support modification, because it showed the impact of what it's actually doing to our children, because kids dropping out of high school. We've all heard the facts, right?
Right.
Those that are watching may have not heard, but let me tell you what, that is a plethora of information that can be usable at your disposal, and it's free.
So it's 2 names, Annie Kaye.
No, Casey. Annie Casey. Annie Casey Foundation. There's another title. It's called, I don't know if Linda's watching, but she knows the other name for it.
Okay.
But I'll tell you something. I've taken it to legislators and saying, look, this is what single parenthood is doing in your community. This is the impact of education, school, mental health impact, all these different things.
Yeah.
I think it's called the
Very.
Kids Count. Kids Count.
Kids count. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that some more and stuff. I think it's there's so much material out there.
Yeah, there is.
Fun, to dive into, and it's like, what's the thing that's gonna make that, that's gonna get the difference for you? And the biggest difference, I think, really just by showing up. I mean, everything you've done with your bills has all been because you've been there, right? Talking to people, and you're there in their face. You're having that discussion.
Well, and as a veteran, it's a lot easier for me to get my foot in the door than it would be somebody else.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to turn away a veteran. And that's what I will tell everyone from every state that's a veteran. Mm-hmm. If your leader can't get through the door, reach out to that veteran that you're really good friends with and be like, hey, I need a hand. Can you help me get in the door? Because no one's going to turn down a veteran. I will put my life on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least here in Oklahoma, it's happened. Ask Mark Ludwig when we went to DC what happened.
I think it happens everywhere. I think, they might give you lip service, but they're going to let you at least give yours in return, right? Like they're going to come and let you speak because they don't want to have that image that they're turning down veterans. Because there's so many.
I had a congressman basically offer me a job to be at his office at his disposal to do veterans issues, and I was like, I can't do that. I can't be away from Oklahoma, and he was out of Iowa.
Wow.
Representative King, he's no longer a congressman anymore, but he was like, yeah, I'm going to need you here. I'm like, there's no way. It's beneficial.
Yeah. And I think using those things and that ability is that's what it's there for, right? Like being a veteran has its perks in that you have, I don't know if you have a responsibility, but you have an opportunity to get yourself in there. And if you can bring somebody with you, like Mark Ludwig and stuff, to get in there and have those conversations, it just opens up more doors. It gets them in faster and getting that speed through that place, getting an introduction. So then the next time Mark's there, he can do it without you. Makes a huge difference,
Right.
Like what you said right there, Zach. You said, I don't know about a responsibility, but an opportunity. But as a veteran, it is a responsibility because you at one point in time signed the dotted line to uphold and protect the Constitution and the people within these borders. So it is almost a responsibility. I felt like it's been a responsibility, and I think I've talked to Mark before behind closed doors on how much, as a service member, I feel like a failure because I'm failing all these children because I can't get something passed, because I can't get, above that one step that is holding me back from really blowing this thing up. And I've learned to deal with that and really get out of that, mindset.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. But it almost is a responsibility for a veteran. For a active service member, it is their responsibility because they're still currently in. And last time I checked, Marine Corps, their enlistment never ends. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So where are you at, devil dogs? I'm calling you out, you crown eaters.
Get out here and do some work, right? We need you.
Man, yeah.
I think that's an incredible message for veterans or anybody currently serving.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I was afraid of being shot at, blown up. It happened, and I'm still alive. And like, man, that wasn't that bad.
Then you went to family court.
And that will change your life, absolutely. But let me tell you something. I've learned a whole lot about myself and how much more stones that I have. You know what I mean? Like how much more grit and force that I have behind me, because you're molded into what they want you to be as a soldier. But in family court, they're going to try to break you. And I will tell you something. My service to my country allowed me not to be broken. And for those that are thinking that, this is this is the end, it's not. Let me tell you, this is only the beginning of something bigger, better, and brighter.
Yeah. 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 We get to keep going, and don't let them break you. You went to the military and stuff. They try to break you in the military, right? Like the whole thing about boot camp and all that stuff is not to be broken, to go through hard things, to take on the hard challenges in your life and then overcome and see that you have more. There's always that little bit more. I think David Goggins, like that guy's like,
Oh
there's
man,
always more.
Sydney, that guy's
I
a
can do 100 miles, and you know what? I can do more than that too in 3 days of prep with a broken leg and
yeah.
nose
That's what I'm
hair
saying,
grown.
you know. And
Yeah,
even for those that aren't veterans or that aren't service members, you can learn a lot from a veteran. Learn the,
Absolutely.
I'm just
Absolutely.
saying, I mean, I'm not one person to be followed or looked at in that way because I've had my ups and downs and my trials and tribulations, but there's other ones out there that, I mean, most of your powerful speeches of overcoming and, just giving you pride comes from the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian, sorry. Brian Lee said, and I'll eat crayons along the way.
I
Oh,
told you, that's what I'm saying. Where's my
they're
dad?
out there. They're
Yeah,
here. They're listening.
absolutely. And I know he's one of them. He's always been in the community, but
Mhm.
there's at least 3 or 1%, right? 1% of our nation makes up our military. And I believe 3% makes up our veteran community. So where are we at? I'm but a tenth of 1%. So
Right.
where are we at?
Right. There's a
There's
lot
a few
out there.
on here. There's a couple on here.
Yeah, there's been quite a few on today and stuff. And it's just great to get everybody motivated and recommitted and stuff. I feel like coronavirus would take a big hit, and a lot of people kind of got sidetracked by not being around and stuff. And I feel like everybody's kind of now getting back into the groove and getting to the flow and really being more impactful, that there's just more connection and openness. And like, you said, you're healing and stuff, you've gone through some of the stuff and you battle and battle and battle. And now it's like, dive into yourself so you can actually have that energy to go out there and continue this and do these things in the legislature and provide that safety net for your son and all the other kids.
Yeah,
they don't even
absolutely.
know, and your son may never even know that you did all that work, right? And it's not about the glory and the like the recognition. It's knowing that I made that change and that all these other kids now and other dads and moms and families, when they go through this horrible time of being separated and divorced, they aren't going to have a drag out, knockdown fight for all the power and control of your kids. That
Right.
by the mere fact of being a parent and not being a bad parent, you are granted that time. And we need to have punishments for false allegations, and they got to be severe.
That is one thing I am trying to put into this next session is putting a control on these false allegations, because it has a dire impact to our community when we get, these allegations of, child sexual abuse or just anything in general. It can destroy a person's life. And we've seen what happens when it does that.
Right. Yeah. You never get it back.
Well, you never get it back, and we lose those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they out themselves, and it's not fair to them. And, that's another issue that I find hard to try and get over is, trying to help these guys out, because I've seen some of these suicides across the country, and it's like, God, if they only knew I was out there, they only knew I was in their shoes, if I was in their boots.
I've had a couple friends that I've had that have committed suicide, and I have a lot of friends on Facebook and stuff, and then hearing that them committing suicide, and like, damn, like I forgot about that person, and not that I meant to forget about him and stuff, but I was doing my own thing and didn't even think about that, like didn't even cross my mind, and all of a sudden they're gone. You're like, holy shit, like you were having this problem and you didn't reach out to anybody else, how could, and I think there's some responsibility on like reaching out to people and trying to maintain contact and stuff, but there's so many people out there. Like we said it 3 or 4 times tonight. Like we're all here. You can call us on the phone. My phone number is on the Kids Deserve Dads page. Like it's my cell phone number.
Yeah, mine's public on my profile as well. So, I'm here for anybody, and I'll take a phone call at any time, day or night. If I
It's
don't
It's not
answer,
public, but
don't even try
message me.
I
Send me a
don't
message.
answer, I'll get to you as soon as I can, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, just allow me that time to get to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep fighting. Keep find a way to get over it. You know, I think the best thing that I've done when I've been in emotional distress and experience in my whole entire life, when I got divorced the first time and all the other stuff I've gone through, has been physical exercise, you know, pushing my body past the point of where I don't have any energy left to be negative and be distraught and destroyed. That once you've pushed your body so far, that energy's gone and you lose that. I've lost that angst and that anxiety that I've had, where, you know, bad thoughts have come up. I think everybody's had those thoughts, especially going through this experience. Like, holy shit, like giving up would be like the easiest thing, you know, because I am just getting tortured right now. And
Right.
then when I hit the gym and I torture my body, the emotional torture goes away, and not permanently, but at least for a while. And so I tell everybody, man, if you're feeling down and feeling depressed and feeling that you have negative emotions and stuff, go work out. Go for a sprint until you can't sprint no more, or do some burpees. You know, go and do something physical, hit the gym and throw weights around until your body, you know, can't. And then you'll be too tired.
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
advice, Zach.
Yeah, thanks. And then call me on the phone. Call me on the phone and we'll talk about it. And we'll get you in a support group with other people that are trying to do these things, you know, and we'll get you some help and we'll get you past this, because we can all overcome it. And once you've experienced it, I think Chris was talking about earlier, like you have that pain in your battle, right? And then all of a sudden, once you're through it, you're like, holy smokes, I took that on, right? Like the military example, you took that on and you realize that you had more, right? Like there was more. And you didn't even realize you even had that much. You didn't realize you had enough to get through that. And then once you've passed it, like, holy smokes, like I could have taken on more than that. I actually survived that rather unscathed. So like,
Right.
now what you got?
Yeah.
Don't show it to me yet. I'm not sure I'm ready for it, but you know what? What do you got next?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. It's like, okay, what's next? Well, you know, what am I tackling today? What am I tackling tomorrow? You know?
Yeah.
And I can tell you those dark times, if you're by yourself, that is one of the most terrible mixes that can take place, you know.
Yeah.
If you're feeling that way, I mean, it can take you to an even darker place, and you know, you don't want to go there.
Yeah. It's
We can't
winter time.
we can't afford to lose you. And you know, matter of fact, I think those that experience that dark hardship are the ones that really triumph in the end. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, they've been through the battle and they get through it and they're like, man, here we go. You know, what can I take on next? You know, and it's funny you talk about losing friends. Not really funny, but I had to have a conversation with Mark, you know, behind closed doors about, you know, one of the people in our communities while we were in DC had taken their life while we were in DC. And that was hard on Mark. I mean, and, you know, me being a service member, I've experienced that type of loss before. And being able to be there for Mark was, I think, God's way of, you know, helping him and showing him, you know, hey, it's not your fault. You know, Mark in tears, what could I have done? And I'm like, there's nothing you could do, Mark. I mean,
Right.
you're doing everything that you can do right now at this point in time, by being here in DC to help that person out.
Okay.
You click those and put. Sorry.
Are you talking about stuff that I'm clicking on?
Well, no, when you, I were you putting that up on the screen for a reason? Because I'm pretty sure everybody can see that when you do that. Linda Jones' comment.
I took it down on accident.
Oh, either way, she wrote a little message for you, Chris. You'll be able to go back and read it later.
I thought I kind of saw something.
Oh, okay.
There with that.
It's
Yeah.
from
It's
Linda.
a long one. I couldn't see anybody's face anymore, but beautiful message. I apologize for taking it down. So, yeah, man, I think, you know, getting healthy, being your best self and reaching out, you know, and staying part of this group, keeping connected with those people that are working on this stuff and going through it. And you can get support by being with somebody who's gone through the experience, like just by having somebody who I can talk to and that I know has felt everything that I'm feeling helps so much. I talked to my parents about it and stuff. My parents have no clue. They've never experienced anything like this. So they don't have any idea. They can't empathize or even like understand the pain that you feel from this. And so it's hard. And then when I've talked to my friends who have gone through it, and that's what got me started, was that I was talking to my friends about it because I was in pain. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I'm asking everybody, and they're like, oh, that's just how it goes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this isn't right, but by having those discussions, by asking these questions and opening up about my hurt and my pain, really helped out a lot for me being able to ask my friends these deep questions and difficult questions that help me then understand what's going on, and I think that's a really important thing. It's really tough to get that stuff, and it's tough to everybody calls you, Chris has called you and said, wait till you hear this story, right? And they tell you the story and it's the same story.
Yeah.
And you're like, and they think like they have the most gut-wrenching, awful story that's ever been told.
Yeah.
And you heard it twice today.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And as a leader, you try to do what you can to hear everybody out, but it's like Mark says, if you start going to your legislators and, they're hearing basically the same thing in a different language is basically how he says it. It's, it can be time consuming for them, and they don't want to take the time to hear, why you're really there, what's your goal, what's your end result, and that can be bad for what we're trying to do.
Right.
It's not that you don't want them to hear their stories, but it's just they hear them enough.
Right. Right. And your story is unique and it's terrible all in its own right. And it's just amazing how many stories are similar and equally horrible all the time, And I find solace in that in myself, that like I've had horrible stories and horrible things that have happened, and then I can empathize with guys that have gone through stuff, and there's things that are worse, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing the things that we can battle through and survive and come out and do more stuff for. And this is a hard time of year, I think the weather is dark right now. It's cold outside,
It was the worst.
It's holidays without your kids and without family. I spent my 40th birthday on the couch in my basement watching The Man in the High Castle, sick, alone. And I was like dead as a dog. And that was my 40th birthday. And I was in the middle of family court, right? And it was awful, man. I just sat there and I was like, am I dying right now? Like, this is like the worst birthday and the worst, I feel the worst I've ever felt. And I think those are the hard days, the dark days, and we're in that season. My birthday is right around Christmas, and I wasn't going to get to see my son on Christmas. I hadn't gotten to have him one time on Christmas. Last year was actually our very first year we got to have Christmas together when he was 5. So
yeah,
and that's common, and unfortunately it's something that happens quite a lot. And so I was getting here and I was sad about that whole experience, and I was just being here in that spot, and trying to get that done, and being here for him, and the winter time's hard, and this is a hard time of year, and knowing that you don't get to see your kids, and I was stuck in a town that I don't know anybody, so I spent Christmas by myself and my birthday by myself in the basement of my house because I was Airbnb my main level out to make some money to pay for law school. And
here's the question: Did you decorate?
Not that year.
Not that year. Yeah. See, that's hard. But did you still buy gifts?
Yeah. I saw the gifts. Yeah. I had everything in Cheyenne and stuff. So I was up here to get him, and then I got him the morning of the 26th, and we went back.
That's what I was going to ask Chris. Do you still have all of those?
I still do it till this day.
You still have them, and they're just ready and wrapped.
They're all wrapped. I've got a storage building where it all started, in the town where it all started, and I keep filling it.
That's one of the things I remember, and it breaks it breaks everybody's heart, but it's
yeah,
kind of a beautiful I don't even know how to explain it, but explain. I don't even know if Zach knows what I'm talking about, but go ahead.
It's hard to do each year. The longer it goes, it's harder to do. But I mean, I'm kind of getting choked up just thinking about it. But
I'm sorry. I feel like I shouldn't have asked.
no,
yeah.
don't be sorry. Don't
about
be
it.
sorry, because I'm learning to get through it. I'm learning to redirect, the pain and stuff. But it's, that's one thing I still do to this day is I still buy gifts, I still wrap them, and I put them in storage. Now there's some things that I bought him a while back when he was a toddler that, I'm giving to my children now because there's no monetary value in it, so like there's a ton of Hot Wheels stuff, and it's like eventually that stuff's going to be worth money. And if he can't play with it by the time he gets it, then he can have it and do what he wants with it.
Right.
It might have some value to him, or even sentimental value. But yeah, you're right. I do that still, and it is extremely hard. And it's I think a lot of people that have been alienated as long as I have, or if not longer, get to the point of I can't do that no more because it's too hard. Or, we're all different. So I just feel that, I have to keep going, and that's part of my way of getting through it.
And coping with it, right?
Right, absolutely.
I was gonna say, Zach, we'll probably get into like a lot more holiday stuff on the upcoming, but
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do it next Thursday.
we'll skip it for now. I was just gonna say.
Yeah, well, and I was going to tell you guys, I should probably go because I do have a
Yeah.
2-week-old baby to help my fiance with and stuff. But if I'm open to doing this again, my office should be arriving. It should have been here last week, and they couldn't deliver it because of rain and stuff like that. So I'll actually have my own office instead of
nice.
out in the closet and stuff. But
You know what? The closet looks good, man. We got a lot of clothes in there.
yeah, I know. I can see her pink jacket back here. It's looking real good for my background drop. But anyways,
highlights of the red and stuff.
yeah, I want, to end it on a good note, I would say that, the whole veteran situation, the suicide situation, there's a way out. There is tons of people in our community that are going to be there to support you, even if you just go to a Facebook and message everybody. And there's, man, I mean, you'll see stories on there that are very similar to yours at Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Fathers' Rights, Americans for Parental Equality. Everyone's got stories in there similar to yours, and you can reach out to that person. You might have someone that lives in your community, and then y'all can get together and hang out, and you can plan and come up with a way you're going to change it. The key is to get up, get out, get moving, and just get started on something.
Find a community.
Yeah,
Get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get involved with a nonprofit group. Get involved with big brother, big sister. Get involved in taking care of yourself and being your best person. Just doing something. Don't sit on your couch and play video games. Don't sit on your couch and drink beer by yourself. Get out. I mean, if you're gonna drink beer, at least be outside where other people are doing it.
Right. Like Ryan Powell. I mean, I think he goes out and hangs out with his friends.
I thought Ryan Powell's friends were all on Facebook, and he just gets out here and rambles on.
Yeah,
you have to ask him.
Yeah. I love you, Ryan. I just hope you know that. But no, absolutely. Getting up, being involved is probably one of the best things that has really got me through a lot of the stuff, because it doesn't give you time to think about the bad.
Yeah. And I think so along with that, I think talking to people, getting a community, being involved with this group, we have this stuff coming up. I'm working on something, probably won't do it this year for Thanksgiving, but we got something coming up the following year for Thanksgiving that's gonna be really big. And there's other groups. Oh my gosh, I'm just blanking on his name right now. Brian was just posting up on his group that he's part of. RFIRN stands for Real Families. What does it stand for? Oh my gosh, Restoring Families Internet Radio Network. And
There
Brian
it is.
well, I found it on my Facebook. I cheated, but you know what? Cheating's okay.
Yeah. If
You
you
know,
ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
he does a whole show on Christmas Day, right? And he spends that time on Christmas where he's on there live the whole entire time, and people come on there and talk and share their experiences and stuff. And it's a really great show, and it's just a nice place to be at. If you don't have a lot of people around you, if you don't have a lot of family, you know, that's your family. There you go. Thanks, Brian. Yeah. If you don't have a lot of family and stuff, you know, I had friends before I went through family court, and they were great, you know, and I thought they were good friends, and we had a lot of great times together. And the friends that I've got now after family court and the people that I associate with now and spend my time talking to, Alicia being one of the ones I talk to like almost every day. And that, you know, I have these great friends that we're working on stuff. You know, I talked to Mark Lovely, I talked to Ryan Powell. You know, Chris, you and I talk not as often as I'd like, and something I want to do more, but just getting to have these chances. I have more friends that I love and respect, and that I see doing bigger things. I'm involved in a community of people doing way bigger things than I ever imagined in my whole entire life. I had like dreams and fantasies of it. This is not how I saw it coming to fruition, but these people are amazing, and they're so powerful, and the energy that I get from talking when I talk to you today, you know, I'm pumped up right now. Like, do I go to my girlfriend's house after this, or do I work on this reel? I got this reel that I'm making, and I'm really excited about it. So
yeah,
I'll
let me tell you that, you know, she's in there getting surrounded by 2 toddlers and holding the infant. So
yeah.
Thank you, Chris, for everything
absolutely.
you do. Everything.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
You're amazing. You're doing great work.
Chris, what do you think about contacting your senator and that kind of stuff? Guy David Winter just asked a question. Is it any good to call your senator? Let's end it on this.
Absolutely. It's like I told Kevin Spear one day, you know, that man is probably the smartest man alive.
Kevin?
And he's got his doctorates and all this stuff, and he does stuff for like spacecraft and all this, you know. And I went to Arkansas one weekend and hung out with him and just picked apart Arkansas's law with him. And I mean, we were probably up to like 3, 4 in the morning or something. And he was like, I just can't find a way in. And I was like, Kevin, dude, you're a doctor in stuff that people don't even understand. I said, use it. Use it. And I tell every veteran, use it. Well, I'm here to speak to so-and-so. I need to get at least 5 minutes of their time. Well, they're going to ask you, okay, who are you? And then you say, well, I'm combat disabled veteran in his community, and my name is so-and-so. Well, when they write that down, they're going to put a big exclamation point to say, I need to get to that person first.
Right.
So, yeah, David Winter, it does do you so much good to go to your senator as a veteran.
Yeah, buddy. It does. You guys have a lot of power, and we got to use it for good, you know, and bring this change.
I've been turned down. Let's put it that way. I've never been turned down to speak with anybody, or even their LAs or RAs, whatever they call them, legislative assistants, LAs. I've never been turned down.
Well, I think some people just get like, they're like, oh, I'm scared. It's a senator or a legislator, or they're like these big important people, and they're just people.
Well, that's the thing.
Put their pants on when they get a time every day too.
They work for you, for
exactly
our people. So don't forget that. They're no better than you are. You know, they all had jobs at one point in time, just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so true.
Just people.
So, all right, guys. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you so much.
I'm Chris, man. Hey, wonderful time to get to talk to you, man. Give the baby some love and some kisses for us, and give your wife some also for letting us.
Tiny cheeks. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Have a great day, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. I'm up for it. You guys have a great evening and a great Thanksgiving if we don't talk before then.
Yes.
Yes, my friend. We will. See you soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.